Hey guys, and welcome back to IPT2. This week's podcast is all about being sick, and mainly because there's been a lot of sickness going about recently. So I want to talk a little bit about everybody being sick. There is obviously the cold and flu going about, and I myself got it, and so did a lot of my colleagues. But also, when we talk about sickness this week, I want to talk about a little bit of sickness within the industry as well, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So, with the cold and flu going about, there's a lot of people being hit with this. It seems like it's a overly harsh cold or flu that's going about, and it's flooring people for anything up to, well, I was 5 days where I was completely floored, and I don't get ill very often. So be careful out there. At the end of the day, if you're going to catch it, it's probably going to give you a few days of not feeling great at all, but you will pull through. Don't be shy of getting the old paracetamol out and having a couple of tablets to just soothe the kind of symptoms, and make sure you've got plenty of water. That's what got me through, and I'm sure that's what will get many of you through. There's also been a couple of cases of COVID going about, a new type of variation, but hopefully, especially the people who are vulnerable, they will be able to be taken care of with their flu vaccinations this year, and we'll see no badness, hopefully, just the kind of normal winter period where people do tend to get a little bit iller. But beware, keep your immune systems as high as possible, and try and keep yourself as fresh as possible and healthy for as long as possible. So that's my little talk about sickness physically, and I doubt any of that information is anything new to most of you, but let's talk about the sickness in the fitness industry. And it was really one message I've been seeing quite a lot of, and again, I've been in the fitness industry for a long time, so my social media is very much revolved around fitness and people selling fitness products. It's all the kind of sponsored ads I see. I see literally a lot of ads for personal training and PTs in my area. But it's not essentially the PTs I'm getting at here, and they do have a part to play. But the reality is that there's a lot of people out there who are trying to push this high-ticket online sales process. Everybody's got this secret to the market, secret to conversing with people, secret to a secret script of some sort, a secret this or that, or a method, or something that they're trying to sell you, but they're giving you away a little bit for free first. Now, yes, I do webinars on topics, but I'm very open and honest at the beginning of every single webinar I do. I have something to sell you at the end of it, and to be honest, if you don't want it, I'm not going to badger you. If you want on my email list, you can get on it, but again, I'm not bothered if you're not interested in doing the personal training course or doing any of the courses we have available. I'm not going to badger you into actually taking up that or send you spam emails. I literally need your email to send you the link to the webinar. And there's slight social media magic behind that. The magic is, if I post a link onto any of the social medias that takes you off of the social media and onto another platform, it's almost like getting blacklisted. They show it to less people who should see your material. So that's a little secret if you didn't know it about social media. Does it recover? Yes, but it can drop your viewership quite dramatically, quite a lot of the time, and If you're pushing out to something like Zoom, which can completely take you off of Instagram, Facebook, or other social medias for a long time, that's then why we need your email address to send you the direct link, not because we want to add you to email marketing. But with these guys who are saying they've got something to give you, they are looking for your email address. They're looking for permission to spam you with email. And believe me, I've got a separate email account just for them, just for all that crap they send me, because sometimes it's not crap. Sometimes there is going to be a golden nugget I can take from it, but for the most part, it's going to be quite boring, normal. Do you want to buy this kind of stuff? If I've said it once that we have a course running and you don't want it, that's the conversation done. There's no badgering, there's no, but what if we give you this? It's just a case of you don't want it and we take you at face value. But that's not what makes us sick here at IPT. What makes us sick is when they talk about giving you the ability to get high ticket sales as an online PT. Bear in mind this is an online PT service, and they're trying to push this high ticket sales because you only need a few high ticket sales to make all your money, which is nonsense. Because most people don't have the money to spend £2,000 on a personal training block. Now, this isn't even on the personal training course. For £2,000, you can become a personal trainer. These guys are trying to sell personal trainer packages that are 3 months long that cost £2,000. And they are comfortable saying to people that, yeah, you know, you'll get this, 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 and this. And they overpromise and underdeliver and then lose their clients very quickly. So, can you get high ticket sales? Yes, of course you can. There's people out there that will be duped into doing that. But you'll never retain them. You'll never be able to justify the £2,000 service. Why would you pay £2,000 for a personal trainer to do a plan when they are not a celebrity trainer? They're not a celebrity bodybuilder. Even if you've done some bodybuilding shows and you've done some physique shows and you've got a cracking six-pack or a great figure, it doesn't matter because you're still a nobody. And that's not in a bad way. It's just that you don't have like millions of followers. You aren't on TV. You aren't somebody that's necessarily in the media. And bear in mind, this is coming from somebody who has been in the media and has been featured online and has done appearances and has done speaking events. And I'm still a nobody. So for you to then ask a person for £2,000 for a personal training course, that makes not a personal training course, so a personal training block. That makes me sick. That makes me sick to my stomach because people are generally out there in a cost of living crisis. And I know I've mentioned this in other podcasts as well, but how can you justify a £2,000 price tag? Even if you broke that down to how many hours you're going to actually do for the client and all the kind of stuff, and you could kind of make up your own figures and justify it. Like, my program's worth £500 and my service of speaking to you weekly is worth another £500 and my text message support's worth £500 and my charts and extras are worth £500 and that's why I charge £2,000. It's still ridiculous because you know that that's complete BS. So then, on the flip side of this, you've got these people out there who are trying to promote this, get personal trainers who probably are struggling in their own business. And that's why they're looking for high ticket sales, because they're struggling themselves. And I did mention in my other podcast that somebody I know at the job centre was telling me about how many personal trainers were coming through the door. And that's not because of anything but there's a cost of living crisis. People can't always afford luxuries when there's a cost of living crisis. And we saw this back in 2008, and we saw it well into the early parts of the 2010s. And again, remember, the recession that we had back then was bad, but then the ups and downs of that in the coming years really meant that we have this peak and trough system already in the PT industry, where we know what times of years are going to be busy because people can afford to buy personal training. They're busy with work, and especially this time of year because all the students are back, all the people are back to work, kids are back at school, parents have the time, and a whole host of things are aligning to make sure that you as a personal trainer can make money at this time. But then when it comes to December and January, we usually get ourselves into a trough. And that doesn't mean everybody's going to stop doing personal training or anything like that. It just means that you're going to probably earn just a little bit less money. People go away for Christmas. People go see family, so they're not there in the gym. So there is a drop in revenue. But if we look at that, and then the trainers aren't making the money that they want to because people just don't have the free cash for it, I guess is what we're getting at here, then the immediate thing people look at is, well, can I quickly pivot online as a personal trainer, get some online clients? It'd be amazing if I got a couple of high ticket sales. But when your personal training package is £2,000 and you do not have a bunch of people who are affluent, high earners on your social media, you're not going to get that £2,000. It's an absolute sham. And then again, you have to look at your service, and one of the key things we spoke about on the 5 secrets of success and on the business courses that we've done is the level of service that you give people. Because as a personal trainer, if you offer a service that delivers, people will pay money for it, and they'll usually pay a little bit more than what they would usually, like a few £100, maybe up to double that. I hear very often people talking about maybe £600 to £1,000 for a 3-month plan. But even that, I would say, is a little bit much. That's going beyond what the average person can actually afford or actually wants to pay these days. And again, you do need to look at what you want to do as an online PT. And this really is a thing about online PTs. Your service is going to be obviously dictated by yourself. I'm not going to be the one to judge how much you charge for your service. But what you really need to look at is the demographic of people that you have in your service and what they are able to afford for their fitness. How important fitness is, we all know that's really important. Health and well-being is really important. But there will come a price point where there's going to be lots of no's, and then that becomes a process of the personal trainer who's tried to get high ticket sales, is not getting them, drops the price, people wonder why the price is dropped, again they get a lot of no's. That's going to be detrimental, and for the people that they get to say yes, they possibly just won't get enough of them to then have a sustainable online presence. And that's when they won't put their effort into the service they deliver, and eventually that will dissipate and it will stop. There is so much behind running an online business, and you can make it a very simple process, but you need to set up those processes. You have to decide your business. You have to set up things the way you want it to run so that your clients can reap the benefits and success. And if you don't do that, then you're going to be left as one of those PTs who's heading for the job centre. Now, like I spoke about in last week's podcast, one of the key things about personal training or just anything you're trying to market is putting it in front of the right people. And unfortunately, a lot of PTs, they either don't start with a large following on Instagram or whatever their social media platform is. Obviously, TikTok is another really big one. They don't start with a large following and then they have to build it. So you are going to try get your product in front of the right person, but then there's going to be a lot of times when you're just going to have to be DMing people, trying to speak with people, trying to get them on board. And that in itself can become a full-time job, especially if you don't know how to track these things, if you don't know what you're doing with them. Even just setting up the initial programs and stuff for your clients. Do you understand what you're trying to sell to the person? And can you get it across quickly rather than having to do big drawn out messages and type them up all the time or copying and pasting them over and over and over? So, yeah, it's an absolute minefield. But the real clogging the machine, the sickening part for me is these people, these predatory people in the online space who are trying to say that they're business gurus, that they get people who are personal trainers results and they get X amount of money for every person. I am just not a big believer of that. And a lot of things can be very easily manipulated. You know, like it's easy to take a bank account screenshot and manipulate it. It's very easy to take screenshots of text messages and again, you could probably send a text message to yourself from another phone saying what you want it to say. And again, because you're going to cover up the numbers, you can't show the person's number. Again, this is an easy way of just having BS feedback. A lot of these people you can't really even find information on, and this doesn't just go for personal training. This goes across marketing, across the entire social media network. There's a lot of people out there who are out to just make money, and so are you as a personal trainer. But the caveat being is, if you've got real results, tangible results, then get your people speaking on camera. Get your people sharing it on their own social medias and tagging you in it so you can then reshare it, or collaborating with you so you can reshare it. Because then that shows real people. And there is businesses out there that are genuine, and there is people out there that maybe are good for helping you get those high ticket sales, if that's really the route you want to go down. I would feel a little bit like selling my soul if I was to charge £2,000 for a personal training program and also £2,000 for a actual course. I feel that would just be unjustified, even though there's decades of knowledge there. I believe I can get people results. I have all the proof to back that up. I have years and years of experience. I've been on stage doing talks. I'm booked for a talk in Dubai. Yeah, £2,000 would be ridiculous. So I am a firm believer that when we look back at this period in time where these people were trying to make a quick buck, we're going to see very soon a lot of people just falling off from these adverts because they're going to have ran out of people to dupe. And I really hope if you're listening to this, you're not one of those people who get sucked in by almost desperation, because that's where a lot of people then take that step. And genuinely, if somebody needs help and support with gaining clients or gaining online clients, I've always said, ask our team. Our team will help. We'll give you the information that you need to know and not ask you for payment, because it's free information. Like, you shouldn't have to pay to understand how to do certain things. And really, the personal training course, the business course, the webinars we do, they should teach you along the way how to do these things and what kind of systems to set up for yourself, and find the thing that works for you. But at the same time, we should also be educating on you why a £2,000 personal training program makes no sense. At the end of the day, there are people out there who can charge £2,000. They are the top people of the industry. They are the top bodybuilders that train other top bodybuilders. They are the coaches that take people to Mr. Olympias and to international titles. They are the people who train strength athletes or train specific things like MMA, strength and conditioning. They work with football teams. They are people who work with celebrities. And if you want to be in that niche, then by all means, that's the thing to chase. But for the general population out there, and for the general personal trainer out there, that's not what you're going to be working with. You're going to be working with general population. And generally the population of this country just now, and I mean the UK if you're listening in from somewhere else, they are suffering. So to ask somebody to have the cojones to ask somebody for £2,000 for a 12-week personal training course, I hope you understand how ridiculous that sounds. So the next time you as a personal trainer see any of these adverts for high ticket sales, please just remove them from your timeline. Please just click the button to say you don't want to see any more stuff like that, because your social media accounts will then stop having those kind of things on it. And it's what I do. But it really, really riled me up when I saw that the other day. And really, the area I live in is a very nice area. But you go a few streets away and there's poverty, there's people begging in the city centre. There are people who can't afford their mortgages. The statistics are that 250,000 people this month will not be able to pay their mortgage. And if you don't have a mortgage, that probably means nothing to you, but that's a hell of a lot of people. 250,000 people are not going to be able to pay their mortgage this month. And I don't know how that goes for the rent situation. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who won't be able to afford the rent, who won't be able to put food properly on the table, who need to think about, actually, do I heat my house or do I put food on the table? And sure, people always say, like, oh, well, do you know what? That, like, I don't know people like that, so it doesn't affect me, or you live in your own bubble and you don't really think about that kind of thing. But when we are genuinely trying to help clients, we need to also understand their entire situation. Because if they have financial worries, then that should be a worry for us, because A, we might not get them as a client, or they might not renew. B, they're going to be stressed out their absolute mind. So how do we get somebody results when they're stressed out their mind and what we're asking them to do doesn't take priority? These are things that we don't always think about as personal trainers, and I've really tried to make it my own job to understand my clients on a much more deeper, meaningful level over the years. So if a client can't pay 1 month, sorry for that, if a client can't pay on one occasion, but they know they're going to pay the next month, if I give them a month for free, what is that to me? If I give them not the entirety of what I would normally give them, but I give them something to keep them ticking over, what's that to me? Maybe an hour's work, couple hours work maximum, you know, and then they come back the following month when they know they're more stable again. I've done a great service for that person, and it's only taken me a few hours. We really need to understand that we're not just a client and personal trainer. We're not just trying to make friends with our clients, because that's not always the case. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you'll not be friends with your client. You'll just keep it very professional. And sometimes the relationship could be very distant. You know, I've had clients who don't show very much emotion, or just very, we call them blue people, very technical, very driven by data people. Not that they don't have a personality, but it's just not in sync with maybe my own or other people. And it doesn't mean I can't work with them. It's just that they don't give back as much feedback. So again, you know, like, I think that's that cold coming back. Yeah, I mean, if you have people like that, you still need to take care of them. You still need to make sure that they're okay. You still need to make sure that you are able to look after all the personalities that you have and get on with them, because that's going to offer an amazing service. And if you understand that and understand them and their life hardships, then you're going to see better success. And disregardless of anything else, they'll probably want to continue working with you, even if they fall on hard times and you help them a little bit. You'll know what help to give them instead of just a generic template. But my throat is starting to go, and I think I've possibly got my point across. At least I hope I have. So we're going to end the podcast here, and again, I just want to say that this has not been a rant or a rave. It's not just because I saw something and I went off on one, and that's maybe what this might come across as. But it's also because I don't want people falling into a trap, a pitfall of the industry. I don't want you to think that you can't ask for high ticket sales, but you need to be able to justify it. If there's no justification there, if you're new to the industry, for instance, you're not going to have justification for somebody to pay £2,000 for your services. You may earn £2,000 from somebody over the course of a few blocks, but that's maybe over the course of 6 to 12 months with somebody. So don't worry about these high ticket sales. If that's what you're into and that's all you do, great. And if you can achieve it, great. But don't get duped by the adverts out there that say calling attention to all trainers. Are you struggling with your gym based like business, or are you struggling with business? Seek out people that can actually help you with business. Seek out people who you know have had success and not just some random person online who talks a good game. By all means, I might be the person that's talking a good game just now, but I can back it up. And I've got a bunch of students, a bunch of clients, and a whole bunch of other stuff that really backs that all up. So for me, I don't worry about saying I can help. I know I can help. And that's why I implore people to reach out when they need it. But if you've got a fancy ad out there that makes the person seem like they know what they're talking about, have a look at the other things. Have a look at the body language. Have a look to see if there is anything about them online. Because usually they'll tell you their name. And if not, they'll probably tell you their business name. Look it up online before you even talk to one of these people, if that's the route you're going to go down. Hopefully I've said enough to kind of help you understand that we need to be more in service of our clients rather than thinking of them as the next paycheck. And if you do that, you'll make more return of interest, ROI as they call it in the business world, or return on investment. You'll get more money from actually training somebody over a longer period of time. The money will trickle in instead of coming in one big batch. But that slow release will eventually maybe make you double the £2,000. It will make sure that you have a more sustainable, longer business. And it will help you in the long run because you'll learn more from training people longer online, from training people of all different backgrounds, from training people for all different goals. Over a longer period of time, you learn a lot more. If somebody only does a 12-week block with you, you only ever learn the start of the journey. And once you've had clients for years, then you can start to understand how the journey is not just those first 12 weeks. It's not just to that first checkpoint, the first goal that you set together. It's for all the other goals that come after, all the other methodologies you need to add in, all the advanced training, all the extras that you can think about that you add in. That's where it starts to become the process where you learn. So, again, I've motored on for no good reason to end this podcast. I do apologise for all the coughing. I obviously haven't got over the kind of chesty, throaty cough yet, but I do thank you for persevering with today's podcast. And I hope it makes sense. I hope you've taken a little bit away from it. And as always, if you would like me to cover some other situations that are going on, Or if you want me to cover other aspects of the industry or anything to do with health and fitness, then please do let me know, and I would love to cover it. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you on the next podcast. All the best, guys.